did this daily.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you can make
love
copies.
that.
I can change it for you.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, or you can make one, but
Sure, yeah,
it's
cool. Love that.
it was my biggest why was freedom. So
Sure. Yeah.
that was, I thought I'd share that with you guys. Okay. Is anybody else on? Hi, Simon. Oh, no, it's not Simon. He's just.
Yeah, it's well, it's technically Holland on there, it's just an account.
Hi, Holland. Okay, so.
Do you want me to steal your
Yeah, can
mouse
you do this
again so that I
again?
can? Super
You keep
easy.
getting me through it.
It's
A lot, I'm always, where are we?
Well, and you're looking
And I'm looking
away.
at you.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be.
It doesn't make sense, yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
Of course, it's the easiest task I could ever be.
So how'd you guys, so really quick, I don't need to introduce myself, you guys know who I am now. The expectations is for you to kind of walk away with a buyer presentation, or at least how to talk to a buyer and be the buyer's agent they want to work with. Yeah. Is the goal. And then, okay, so he always it says ask them, who would like to share what they're grateful for so far learning in this journey?
Oh my God, what are we not grateful for? Anything that we're learning, I think, is what we're grateful for.
No, but Mike, like I asked you, what are the opportunities you see for yourself? What are you excited about?
I'm excited about money. I'm excited about, honestly excited about nurturing my relationships. That has always been something that I don't mean out of sight, out of mind, and that I don't care about people, but I'm very much focused on the core people that I see every day. Nurturing those relationships. So for me, it's actually been really exciting to call.
Yeah, you know what's so funny was we got lazy with Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. I saw people in high school and they're reaching out and they're like my biggest supporters, but I never call them. You know, but one year I told you I downloaded all of my contacts' birthdays and it drops into the calendar automatically. So I'd have my assistant go through and I'd highlight the ones I actually knew. And then we sent direct messages on Facebook, hey, what's your address? I'm updating my database. Yeah. We didn't tell them why.
Yeah.
And people have got birthday cards or graduation cards for their kids. I would send $25 for their graduation and stuff. Those things are remembered.
Yeah.
You know, it's not real estate all the time.
Right.
So there's a way you can Google that. An assistant did it for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but there's a way you can Google it. And what I would do is have a separate calendar for it because it gets very full.
Okay.
So I would just call it the birthday calendar or something.
Yeah.
And then have everything load into that. I think you can have a separate calendar, but it's online. So every day, you know, I done it twice. So some of them have it twice. I don't know how to get rid of them. And I don't want to take one out and then lose both, you know.
It's handy in Command too, because you can put in their birthdays,
Yeah.
and then if you start them on the birthday smart plan, then it warns you a week in advance so that you can write them a birthday card and send it.
There.
And
Okay.
then on their birthday, it tells you to make a birthday call to them, it reminds you, make a birthday call to them and do like a social post for them and things. So it's actually really amazing if you're remembering to log in and check your command every day, which
Right.
is just a habit.
Right, you just make it, it's part of the stuff you should do on a regular basis. Okay, set a point. You guys have seen
Yes,
this.
we've seen
Okay.
like 18,000
Okay.
and that.
And that, go ahead, role model, set the appointment, okay, yep. Go,
Yep.
okay, so I have not seen this yet. I finally just got hooked up on the command.
Yeah.
But you can create your presentation that fits you. Hi, Mia. Has you know, there's different things. There's Untitled Design, new landing page with template, so you could do a buyer social or print or create a design. There's all kinds of things in there. I have not gotten to it, and so I'm not great at teaching that part. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But it's there.
Yes.
And I would recommend you doing it. But I brought you guys, so Joanne Gallen, she's a good friend of mine, all the title companies have these. So whoever your title, I'll pass this so you guys can see it. Buyer and seller's guides. And I have some separate buyer guides that are one page or a folder that I got from Douglas Elliman. I couldn't find them today, but I have those. And I'm gonna see if marketing can make some for us for Keller Williams branding. So I think it would be good. here's a little thing you can look at for that. So it says you're supposed to go to the elemental script book. I don't know where that
No,
is.
no,
Okay, I have scripts if you guys ever need them. I've been doing this a long time, so I go to all these classes, and this is Debbie DeCroat's Excellum Coaching and Consulting, and she has a script book. Hi.
I just signed up for real estate school.
No.
Have you ever done a buyer consultation? That's what we're learning today.
Excellent.
So I have this as well for you guys, if you want to take, everybody's got their scripts. These are coaching people that think that, I'm not a big believer. Hi, this is Richard, and I'm from Callaway. I want you to read them so that when an objection comes up, you know how to handle it. That's what this is. I'm gonna hand it. It's all kinds of scripts. You guys can look at them and tell me if you want me to make copies. Okay, that's a coaching company that I went to years ago. Some of them are great, some are sucky, but you find what fits. Okay?
Yeah, if you're open to making copies, I think anything that we have is.
Yeah, I'll make, I don't care. But that's what I love about color readings. We're all very collaborative. EXP was too. So create a presentation, we talked about that. Next. So each section of the buyer presentation helps you connect with the buyer. That's what it is. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So you're gonna help them, build confidence because you're gonna be teaching them the process, right? So I don't know if any of you guys are working with buyers yet.
Yes.
And isn't there a lot of fear and unknown in what they're doing?
Yes, especially for me, it's been a couple first-time home buyers, so they definitely don't know, and I'm learning alongside them whether they know that or not.
Right. You don't tell them that.
That's right.
But so participants suggest, so what I want to do is talk about buyer lead sheets, the MLS and the market center. So the market center here has stuff for you. I have stuff. I house hunter scorecard. There's a thing here that's it's silly. It's a lot of stuff, but in this whole thing, it talks about things. What are a priority? When they're looking at houses, they can go through and say, "Oh, the water bill is really high on that one," or "It's a one story. That's a priority." House A, B, and C. You could name them A, B, and C when you're showing them different things. You can create something like this of your own. You don't have to do all this because as you're going out with them, you're going to know more. So what I find when I'm out with a buyer, well, anyway, I probably have to stay on this, but
You do you.
okay. So when I go out with a buyer, the first time they'll call on the lead, like, oh, I want to go see this house and da. So half the time it's not my listing, so I have to call the listing. Let me call you back. I've got to schedule an appointment, right? So I call up the listing agent to find out that they're doing an open house, or yes, you can get in, whatever. I make the appointment, and I ask them what's important. What are the things that are not visible for the naked eye when you're walking through there? What would you tell your buyers if you're going through? Because they're going to tell their buyers something different than they're telling the listing agents. They don't, because they want the business. So I always say, what do you tell the buyers when you're walking through? What are things that maybe they don't see? Does it have AC? Is it a new roof? Is it new plumbing, new electrical? Is there updated, is the flooring, what's the flooring situation? Because people will ask you, how wood? I don't know, I'm not an expert, right?
Yeah.
But they want you to know that.
Yeah.
So, oh, it's LVT, luxury vinyl tile. Oh, it's linoleum, it's whatever, right? So those are the questions you can ask that listing agent. So now you get out to the thing, and I always say to them, I say, if you can bring everybody who's the decision maker, that would be great. Sometimes the wife goes because the husband's working, which is great. She eliminates a bunch. I'll always take them out to 1 or 2 showings before I get them approved, because you want them excited about buying and know that there's possibilities of it. So if I get that kind of call, I'll typically try and get them in and do a presentation, questionnaire. And one of my questionnaires, I just grabbed stuff before I left. I have a whole bunch here. Let me grab one. Okay. So one of them says things like, well, let's see where we are. Say, go over each section, change the next one, their dream home. So to me, there's a dream home and there's a home that they're buying because they're relocating for a job for six years or something, and they know that it's not their forever home.
Yeah.
So you have dreams and you have, so when I'm doing the list, what are your really what you want? Fireplace, pool, skylights, maybe those are things that they really want. Okay, what are your needs? Those are things that can't be changed. So I need 3 bedrooms because I have 4 kids. I need at least 2 bathrooms because I'm not sharing it with my kids, right?
Yeah.
So you listen behind the scenes here, because sometimes if their husband and wife are sitting there, he'll go, well, what about the garage? She's not thinking about the garage, right? But you are, or you're listening to both. You have to do, it's visual and audit, what's that, audible. I can't say that word. So it's all of that. Is somebody on? Hi, Richard.
You might be driving.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what I do. Okay, we'll go through a different scenario later. But anyway, your dream home, your preferences, your neighborhood, buying 101, at your service, my promise, and glossary. Next. So your need comes first. Visualize the dream scenario buying your home. What's the one thing that has to happen to make this scenario reality?
This is in my listing presentation.
Right? Is that yours?
It's in my listing
Yeah,
presentation. It's one of
but
the
that's just
pages.
because it's on the command. How can I make that happen for you? What is important for you? If you could add any one more thing to make this process even better, what would it be? Half the time they don't know when they're first meeting with you. That's kind of stupid for the beginning. Sorry. They don't know. They don't know. It's as you go that these questions can be answered. Okay.
But maybe it's not bad to pose that question.
Right.
And
These
get
are
them
things we're
thinking,
going
right?
to be reaching. These are the goals that we have.
Yeah.
And that's how you can present it.
Sure.
This is the ultimate scene or scenario.
Yeah.
Scene. It's half.
That's it.
Those are preference profiles. So have you considered who the main contact will be, which is what I told you. Sometimes the wife's the main contact. She gets down to the top 3 and then they both come in. Okay. What timeline would you like to strike for? That's a really good way to figure out if they're A, B, C, or D buyers. If they're out a year, make them a C. Because they know the market's going to shift. Is it a B? A B with somebody being in the 6 to 9 months for me. And A is in the next 1 to 3. So those are your priority people. And the other thing that I do is I always ask them, if I find this house, even though it's not on the market, do you want to know first? Because you're setting up that VIP list I told you about, right? They always think that they're the only ones looking for that house. I don't know why. Until they get into multiple offers and oh. So have you looked into getting pre-approved for a home? So a lot of times they don't want to do that till they know. That's why I say I take them out. A lot of people will tell you not to. I'm gonna tell you to.
Yeah.
It's just my belief. Have you thought about the price range you'd be comfortable with? If I found a home today that checked all your boxes, could you see yourself moving sooner rather than later? They should say yes on all these. Okay. Oh, and then go back. These are really important. How do you go back?
Do you have the keyboard in front of you? I think if you just do the backward
Arrow?
do it.
Oh, okay. So these are really important. How do you like to be contacted? Right? What's the best time? And are there any, and so I would make a handout for them to fill out, because when somebody fills out paperwork, they're committed to you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you want it something that they're going to fill out and give back to you, not in the presentation. It's a paper that you put in the folder inside, or somehow make it where it's a tear off, whatever it is. So these are really important. ASAP in a few hours that day. Oh, updates you prefer to notify. So on the MLS, you should always put it as ASAP. not as the next morning, because things are coming up all the time and there's no inventory. Like in Orange County, I just got a thing from Tim Harris, where he lives. They at this time of the year, from 2013 to 2019, it was always about 4,500 listings. In 2020, it was 2,700. Do you know how many they have now? 1,000. So everybody's buying the house. Everybody wants the houses. That's why my listing went for $9 million. There was no way that would have happened 2 years ago. It did.
So what are you saying, when you put it into the MLS, you're putting ASAP as? like,
No,
when-
not in the MLS. Yes. So there's a spot in there, I was telling you about that, right? Where you get a buyer, you have their parameters, basic parameters. If they have to have a bedroom downstairs, make sure that's in your thing. Don't settle one with bedrooms upstairs. It's really important, and I can show you guys how to do those things, okay? But it's a bedroom downstairs, let's say, because they got their mom moving in. So they want, right? That's a real major criteria.
Yeah.
If you forget it, they'll go to the next person that's doing it. So bedroom downstairs, and then it's called save criteria at the bottom. And then it'll say, set up auto emails, right? So you can set up auto emails, and then down at the bottom it says ASAP,
Oh, okay.
days of the week, or in the mornings, AM, PM. Just do it ASAP.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what that is, on the MLS.
Meaning that anytime a new property comes
Pops
on,
out,
that meets the
they'll hit it.
criteria, they get it ASAP.
Right,
Got
and
it.
you'll get an email too that says, like one home, and then it tells you when your buyer's been in it, looked at it. Well, that should prompt a call to you, or for you to call, or a text. It says, hey, I saw a property pop up today. What do you think? Do you want to go see it? So it's keeping you engaged, because I'm guaranteeing you, they're getting these from everybody. It's who follows up that will be the winner.
But avoid saying, I saw that you looked at this
No,
property.
you
because
don't
it
have to,
sounds
just
creepy.
not yet. Yeah, that's kind of creepy to me if somebody said that.
Sure.
So I would say, I want to let you know about a property that popped up today. Did you get a chance to see it?
Smart. Love it.
Right? And then they go, oh yeah, I saw it. What do you know about it? Well, you know what? I'm going to go preview it today. What do you want me to look for?
Yeah.
You're doing the work for them. That's why we get the big bucks. The agents that just send them off to open houses and don't do anything should not be paid the 2.5%. Sorry. That's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
So my team, my people are going to go out and be proactive.
Yeah.
Okay. Not everybody will teach you that, but that's my belief. Okay. So next thing, your home wish list. Remember I talked about wishes, and so who will be living in the home? That's a really important thing. And that should be on one of your questionnaires. Okay. What are the non-negotiables for your home? Well, let's say they want an updated kitchen. They have to have an updated kitchen. Well, that's going to change a lot, because a lot of people are selling as is now. So then you have to have that conversation. Well, what if we can get a really good deal on a house and you could save the money and buy a kitchen, update the kitchen? We've got some great contractors, or different things like that. I never make it an objection. I'm a big believer, easy fix, right? If you had to name your top 5 non-negotiables, what would they be? 90% of the new buyers don't know. They may say it has to be in the school district. The dude may say, I have to have a garage. And she may say it has to have 2 bathrooms because of the kids, right? So those are typically for your first time buyers.
Good needs.
Yeah, those are, and when they say non-negotiables, if they go, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? If you hear that. If somebody says, if they ask you what's a non-negotiable, what would you say? I'm always gonna call on you guys because it keeps you active. So you would say, that's something that you can't live without. Okay, like a kitchen. Or if they have to have a pool, you'll know it in these conversations. Okay, all right. So beyond our top 5 needs, what is something you really want? Remember I talked about that? Oh, I want a pool. I want a fireplace that actually I can use with real wood, not these little gas things that can't use. Problem is in the state of California, any updated properties, you can't use real wood anymore.
Yeah.
The embers cause fires, whatever. So,
Maybe in Malibu, that's a legit problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we all have these roofs that don't burn it anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Sorry, I just have, I'll always say it how it is.
That's what I really like that about you.
Yeah, do you have a preference where the your house was built? The problem is, oh yeah, I want a new house. Well, the issue with that is you could have had somebody go in and remodel it, but because they didn't tear it down and build new, on the MLS, it'll say original build. So you have to ask, that's the question, and they say yes. They say yes, then when you're consulting with them, you go, let me ask you this, if somebody's updated the home a few years ago, is that okay? You know, and let's not eliminate some really good possibilities. And then they make that not a priority, if that makes sense. Okay. Do you have, do you want a house to move in condition or willing to do some work? And some not want new, then you need to get them to new construction. And there's a lot of them going around, they're just not in our neighborhood. But if that's something they really want, that's the most affordable way to do it, then you go register them at a new thing and you don't have to do anything and you get 3%. I don't know if you guys know that. New constructions, there's some going up in Pedro up there, Ponte Verde and Taylor Morrison, she's building some more right there on Western. They're affordable, some of them. So you go register your buyer, you go with them, they register that you're the agent, right? You're done. You do a couple things after that so that you get paid, but other than that, it's pretty much done. Me, I would kind of like, oh, let me see the list of pencil lists. Let me see, the contract, act like you're doing something for them. Their contract's totally different than ours, new construction. Are there any specific features that would make your house feel instantly like at home? Will you require accessibility options? And that's for ADA. So that's kind of it. Then so we would do this for our neighborhoods, right? Whatever, they're looking at, average listing price, it'll give them neighborhood insights because you're hopefully, when you have the conversation with them to come to the consultation, you'll know an area. Hopefully, you've already kind of answered some of those. There's a call sheet that they do when you're first setting up the appointment, and then you can get a presentation ready for those areas. That's the ideal way to do it. Okay, so average days on the market, total pending, and I would say I would show them, 2 years ago it was this is why the prices are, or like I just told you, Orange County's numbers are 1/5 of what it was. Okay, go ahead. So this breaks it down in orders of why they need an agent and what the steps are. Partner with an agent, get approved for a loan, find your new home, make an offer, and negotiate the terms. And down here it talks about shop for insurance options, choose a title company. They're not going to know what the title company when you buy a home. So if the listing company, like Ben and Grant were here the other day, that's what I use most of the time. Because if there's a problem, they've been able to fix it. So if you, I'm gonna take my shoes off, you guys.
Yeah, do it. It was so painful.
Yeah, they were really cute, but
Painful.
they're only for sitting.
Yeah.
We're looking pretty for 5 minutes. Sorry, guys. Oh, God. Okay, now I'm like half the size. She's like, girl, she's about this big now. So a lot of these things, they're gonna go look, choose a target closing date, sign the offer. You guys kind of know that there's a whole negotiation process. And next time I get into a negotiating thing, I'll call you guys in and let you hear me on the phone. Okay, because that's how you learn. Okay, go ahead.
It was really handy. I put that in my buyer consultation and had what we just looked at, essentially something like that. And I had the guy was he was an engineer and she was an architect. So that kind of stuff, they were eating that
Yeah,
up.
that's another thing. You need to know what kind of client you're dealing with. If they're a visual and just go, yeah, get to the bottom line, you get to the bottom line. You don't go through the whole damn thing. If they're an engineer, they want to know every page, what it means and this, that. So that's really important. And that's doing your homework on the person. You find whether you get their name, you get their phone numbers, you get their emails when you're talking to them. You go to Facebook, you see things about them. Oh, you have 2 kids. Oh, what grade are they in? Oh, they go to Torrance High. You have things already in mind so that if they bring those kids that day, you've got age appropriate toys or coloring book or something for them while you're talking to the parents. It's really important that you acknowledge them as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said that right, but I think. So if you talk about, Oh, I guess this, and then go to the next one. So I didn't love it. So basically go back, one more.
I think you gotta go back on that.
Yeah, oh, I have to do it. Okay, so there's a thing here. Okay, so it doesn't talk about it, but in my book, it talks about Keller Mortgage. You know, if you have that in the, which I would recommend, because it gives you dialogue about how you can give them $1,000 and et cetera, the whole presentation, then you have to have this in here. And they acknowledge that they understand that Keller Mortgage, that Keller Williams makes money from it. It's an affiliate business arrangement disclosure that basically has to be in there if you have the Keller Mortgage information.
Interesting.
Or if you have our escrow information, you have to have that in the presentation.
Interesting.
Because we have to disclose to them that we're not telling you to use them, but just so you know, we make a percentage, and it talks down here. Keller Mortgage range of charges, loan fee 0 to 2% of a loan. We get 0 to 500, and loan fees of 3% of loan amount. Tells you how much they get. Your engineer would read that
Yeah, oh yeah.
and ask you, well, what if we don't want to use them? You don't have to. We're just giving you the option because they give you this $1,000.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Levi,
Hi, Levi. I don't think we've met.
I think we did.
We did?
I love that answer.
Yes, we have.
I think we did.
Were you in the class before?
I mean, you report.
Okay, anyway, I'm doing bio presentations.
I'm sorry.
Bio presentation, okay. So anyway, this is part of that. But anytime you have something where we're gonna make, the companies making money on it, make sure that's in there. Okay, next, oh, you can do that, right, okay. So the real buyer experience. This is about you, how many years in business, total clients served, repeat clients. If you don't have that, use KW's numbers. Use your team members, like Pilar will use mine, 23 years in the business. She's been in the business 20 years, but she took a lot of time off because of raising kids, homeschooling. How many clients served, repeat clients. That's a great number. Repeat, and I would say /referrals, because a lot of mine aren't repeat because they love their homes, right? We found their forever home. Why would they be repeating? So I use it for clients referring, because that also triggers in their mind, oh, that's important. I've got a friend that's buying a place too, and I love her. I'm going to tell them about it. That kind of thing. Clients served in 2019, you would do it 2020 or 2021 or whatever if you don't. Good Keller Williams numbers.
Can I ask you really fast? So I had
You guys are always engaged.
something similar in my listing presentation. I realize we're talking about buyers today, but so what I did is because I've been, oh God.
They're
When
super cute.
When you took them off, I'm like, every woman knows that feeling of,
Yeah.
oh, when you get
Yeah.
out of your heels.
I don't know how guys do it. Guys that wear around the heels.
I do work.
You do wear heels?
Yes.
High heels like this?
Not as high.
I mean, them are platforms too.
Yeah.
You guys
They're
are
like,
me on
they're
that.
so,
Yeah, but these are,
they're terrible.
yeah, okay.
So I did because I've been a business owner, not this business owner, right? But a business owner for 17 years. So I did
Right.
this many years in Southern California, this many years as a business owner, and then this many years as a people that's what I ended up putting in there for now, because they
But
don't
you could
necessarily
use
know.
Keller Williams numbers.
I can switch it if we don't.
Or have, there's this, and then do company numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have two of them and a little bit about Keller Williams and why you chose Keller Williams and what they're doing for you and what they will help you do for them.
Yeah.
Because it's always about them.
Yeah.
Like my slogan is your home, your team.
Mm-hmm.
Your home, your team. It's not, I'm your agent
Right.
and this is your house and I'm gonna sell your house. It's your home. It's important you can pick the right team.
Love that.
So it's your team. So it's about them. So you could do both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I have a whole nother Keller page, so that could work.
Right, so I would do where you do the digitals like that, you could ask Simon to get you the numbers.
Yeah.
How many listings did we close last year?
Yeah.
And I would call it, Keller, this office has been in business, I don't don't know how long, I was here 15 years ago, so, you know, you get that number when Keller Williams South Bay,
Yeah.
and then you could have one Keller Williams in a whole,
Mhm.
right? And then have number of listings closed or number of buyers closed, so you have it that end, you know, how many people did we help find homes for, you change the verbiage.
Sure.
So it fits you, excuse me, and then how many repeat clients, how many people have bought more than one home from me? Sometimes people buy what's it called, second home or rentals, right? So that's okay, and then clients served and then how many total in 20, and so you can have that as Keller Williams,
I love that. Good idea.
okay?
Mhm.
All right, so this, seek first, understand, okay, win-win or no deal, right? If it's integrity, do the right thing. Don't do it just for the money, because there's a lot more to it. If you do it and be authentic, you will get endless business. Customers always come first. No, I'm kidding.
I would do it.
Communication, I'm sorry, but
Not
it's,
always.
but they, in their mind, they do. I'm just saying.
I don't
and
mind if they come first. I hate the saying the customer's always right. 'Cause I'm
right, I'd rather say come first.
Same.
Rather than they're right,
Same.
because we have to come with a gracious attitude that says you're right, but have you looked at it this way?
Mhm.
That's how I turn it, because normally I'd be like, you're wrong, and I would show you, right? So I've had to, yeah, I see what you're saying,
Yeah,
but this is my way of seeing it.
yeah.
And it's not telling them they're wrong, you're just showing them another side. Some people in this environment right now, it's black or white. There is no understanding. It's like, and I know that because I'm running for city council. Just because I said one thing, they totally eliminate the option of voting for me, which is stupid because the replacement will have no police. He'll defund the police. He'll build the tall buildings that I don't want, and he will, there was one other thing he said.
It's a good time to start
What?
a business on policing.
What?
I think it's a good time to start a business doing police work.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough for Torrance to recruit right now too, because of that, of the Nazi things and was said, and I don't even know how that leaked, because it was their personal phones. But, you know, there's people that call in every night, at the city council meeting, that citizens that live here can't even call in because it's the BLM group, they're paid, we know this. And they call in and go, you need to fire all the policemen. We can't fire the policemen, they're on a contract, you know? So how would you like to get fired for something that somebody said you did that you know, you're innocent till proven guilty?
Right.
I'm a law and order type of gal, so
Due
anyway,
process.
huh?
Due process.
Yeah. Together, everyone achieves more. Teamwork, trust starts with honesty, and success results through people. So your success, come to us. We will make sure you're successful, okay? What's next?
Here we are again.
Okay, so we could do a role model if you, or role playing if you guys want. Go ahead to the next. So buyer, yeah, so this is a form I don't agree with, but, so first, I want you guys to, you and I'm your buyer.
Right.
And you know that I am married and have 2 little kids, and I want to be in Torrance schools, preferably Seaside.
Okay.
But my budget is only $1.5 million,
Mhm.
and I want new. So you kind of know that from our discussion. So
Okay.
now we're gonna go through, I'm in the thing, you're gonna pretend you're going through, we're gonna give you guys like a 5-minute role play. You wanna do that?
Let's do it.
Okay. Hi, Cheyenne.
Hi, thanks for coming in and meeting with me.
Sure. Are you able to help with, because this is how they get, are you able to find one in our price range? It's really kind of hard right now.
It is tricky, yeah, it's a little bit tricky right now, but we're gonna look around. I know that you wanna be a part of the Seaside School District, which is a great school district, and also really awesome Christmas holiday celebrations that happen.
Oh,
in
wait a
Seaside.
minute, that's right.
Mhm.
We can't get out over the holidays at night.
Yeah, it might be tricky, there's a lot of traffic there in the in that time of year,
Huh,
for sure.
is there another really good school over there that might be better out of the parameter? See, right there, you triggered me to remember the Christmas lights, because you cannot get out after, I live there, we have a house there, you cannot get out after 6 p.m.
I believe it.
It's, and they're rude and they park in front of your driveway. I'm like, it's gonna be Christmas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so go ahead. So is it maybe thank you for reminding me of that, because now I can, maybe you can broaden the area.
Yeah, let's take the radius out a little bit further, still have it be that general area, but we can look at a couple of the other neighborhoods and see. Side note, I don't know much about Torrance School District, so I would have to know more about that in advance.
Right, so the way you do that, there's a thing called Great Schools.
Okay,
It's a website that you get you some numbers and
Okay.
stats, and you can print out a presentation for them and say, check these out and see if any of these schools fit.
okay.
But off our thing,
Mhm.
my understanding is there's a push to get on the ballot for school choice because of all of this
Yes.
rhetoric about mandates, which to me is 2 men on a date, not a law. So mandates, and the schools over at Torrance, they've got Ted Liu's wife is the president of the schools of the school board, and she's like, nope, you have to wear a mask and they have to wear it all day outside, everything. And the problem is some kids are asthmatic. I mean, a lot of kids have what do you call it, adolescent asthma. Young.
Oh.
It goes away when they get older somehow. I don't know.
Adolescent, got it,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I think that's what I said.
It is, I just heard LS and I was like, I don't know what LS is.
Oh, adolescent, yeah.
Adolescent,
So
yeah.
anyway, so basically what I want you to get to with me is what's your priority of a home? Location, we know Torrance.
Okay.
So let's get, if you're okay with me doing some more research. Okay, so you say to me, let me do a little bit more, once we pull out the area. Because if we go into 90505 and 90503, all of Torrance has great schools, and they do.
Okay.
So you can say that Torrance has great schools. Let's find one that fits more of your house criteria and a great, in a family neighborhood. I have to be careful about saying that as an agent, because I can't steer you to a direction, but that's what you told me you wanted. You have to make sure and disclose that, because if you say family neighborhood and then they say, well, what gave you that idea that I'm not a family neighborhood, they could sue you.
That's insane. They can see
You can't even say master bedroom anymore.
Yeah.
I do, but don't,
No.
because I don't need you guys to. Them, I'll be like, yeah, right. Master bedroom, you can't say it. And I'm like, well, what if there's a dominant, if they wanted to be the master's bedroom, I mean, come on.
But you can still use like, for
Primary.
instance, like primary suite or something, right?
Yeah, but
'Cause that's a boat term. I like it because it's a boat term, so it works with because I'm no wake zone estates, it's
Right.
a whole thing.
Oh, is primary a word for that?
Yeah, they call it in the yachting world that you have a primary.
Yachting.
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
They do.
So they don't call it a master.
They don't, because you have the primary is the main person who booked the yacht, and then they bring their guests. So you're always catering to the primary first and foremost, and then the guests kind of secondary, and so they have a
Okay.
primary suite.
So anyway,
Mhm.
that's great that you can use it. It's hard for me because
Sure.
for 23 years I've been calling it a master bedroom. It's just
Awesome.
training my brain,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and when somebody asks me my pronouns, I'm like, isn't that obvious? I mean,
How do you reply when? I come from Detroit, so I'm not
from
familiar.
where?
I'm a journal lineman,
Okay,
so I'm not familiar with this silly thing, pronouns and all this. That's why I'm kind of scary when it comes to dealing with silly people. Probably, I come from Detroit, so it is a different world out there. So how do you deal with? I'm super new to the, so how do you deal with these new terms and whatnot?
you just do your best. I mean, if they say that offends me, go, I'm really sorry. It's been this for a long time. I'm supposed to call it a primary bedroom. I'm sure that when they're going, I don't know if they've trained about it here. I just saw on CAR, when you log in to get your ZIP forms, there's always updates. You get updates from the CAR, which is the California Association of Realtors. They'll always give you the latest. And half of them I laugh at, but it's important for new agents to understand, you guys are gonna come in and change our dialogues. You're gonna change the way we do business. But you're also not gonna, a lot of you won't survive. And I'm not saying that to be unkind,
That's just.
but it's fact. If you don't have the proper training, a lot of people join the XP, right? Like Brandon, where I was. And which was great, they had me as a mentor, but the ones that didn't get mentors are writing contracts that are bad. They're going in for the money and then they're leaving, and then they leave the mess and the company gets sued. So it's all this training you're doing, I know who's here all the time, and so whenever you need help, I'm always here to help. But the ones that I never seen in class that are brand new, it's dangerous waiting, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen, because they're coming, they'll sue you for looking at them. I mean, the police are afraid to arrest a homeless person because of lawsuits. Even though if I defecated on the street, I'd be arrested, but they can't. And I found out why when I went over there. They said, if you called and said, there's a guy over there, you know, that if you're not gonna press charges, they didn't see it, so they can't press charges.
Sure.
So, and a lot of citizens are like, no, I don't wanna get involved. Well, but yet they complain about it not being done.
Right.
Right, so that's my message this weekend. I have a big thing this weekend, and people are saying to me, why are you running for city council? Isn't it gonna affect your business? Yeah, it probably will. But I have Pilar and I'm building a team. So if they'll say, man, I wish you were still on real estate, I'll always be, I am. Hi, Joanne.
Look at you, right on brand.
Look at
with
you,
your
right on,
words.
yeah, brand.
Yeah.
Hi, I just talked about you.
You are?
Yeah,
I
sure.
like your car now with your branding on it.
Well, that's
good.
my.
Your city council. thing.
Yeah.
So I was hoping, hi guys, I was hoping I could steal her for 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Because you know who's coming here to meet me in the parking lot any minute? Krista. Who's
Yeah.
Krista? Somebody I really want her to meet because they're like
She is.
the greatest thing we're doing brokers.
Yes.
And I just been wanting them to meet.
I've been wanting to meet her.
Because she's from KW Beach Cities, although she lives here. She's gonna be like your people.
Is she new?
Yes, she's
Okay.
gonna be a superstar.
Are you do you still do the brokers in that little?
The golf cart, when I get it, I haven't yet this year because Amy, my friend who owns them, she used to be able to give me carts right off, and I'll show new ones. Well, now people want no miles on them when they buy them, because we're salesmen, so it's been hard to get me a cart. But I'm gonna start doing it again. I'm sorry to interrupt your class.
It's okay, this is a buyer presentation class, so I just sent around your little,
Yeah.
your book, the booklet, yeah.
Oh, but that's not it.
That's not it. I was like, oh.
You sent another company.
No, that's my coaching one, that's a screen, where is it?
That was a bit.
Oh, yeah, it's an orange one.
Stuart.
That was the one that.
Oh,
we
that's
had.
not it.
I'm going.
Go get it, do you have any?
Of course she does.
I don't know where I just grabbed it.
I was like, that's not.
Oh, no, she's gonna go get it, she'll get us one. So, that's funny.
That is funny.
So go ahead, what, we were talking about.
Yes, do you want me to do the things you just told me to do, or we'll keep going from there, or is that what you want? To role play?
Oh, yeah, so basically what I want you to do is say, I understand you need 3 bedrooms, so you have kids, because maybe you didn't get to that. Or what's the purpose for 3 bedrooms? And say the more, so now I'm gonna be the agent, and you're gonna be that, yeah. So I'm gonna say to you, you know, the best way for me to find you the perfect place is to know everything about your life.
Yeah.
So where do you and your husband work? Well, let's say he works in Honda and she works in Culver City somewhere. So you know what, maybe North Torrance is better because then she doesn't drive as far. Or maybe she's a homemaker, right? She stays home and takes care of the kids and is always home. Well, she wants to probably be near parks. Not necessarily, I just want you to think about those things. You don't say those out loud. Go, oh, you know what? And some of them are like, no, I want to be parks right now because all the homeless are in there. So
Yeah.
there's a win, you know, it used to be a win-win, but. So, you know, what are your kids, you know, oh, they're both in high school, great. So you know North High or South High or Torrance, which one's the most important? Well, the issue is a lot of them on the swim team wanted, like I moved from Hillcrest to South High and they didn't have a pool and I was in diving. And I tried everything to get back to McDonald's, and I'll be a diver, I'll be the best artist, da, da, da. And, they don't have pool, what they do is they go to plunge. So you want that to be, if they're swimmers, you need to know that, or if they're soccer players, there's the soccer thing back there. Who's the CIF champions in soccer, things like that, and by the way, it's South. West is okay too, but South, we always have this right, yeah. So those kind of things, you know, so your husband works at Honda and you work out here in Culver City, you know, maybe the northern part of West Torrance might be better or something. And, oh yeah, and the prices are more affordable and their freeway access or their Hawthorne, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the one I meant.
Orange Coast Title, you have one, I did, yeah.
Can you give me? Thank you.
Of course you can. She can
Yes.
have all of her flags.
She came just in time.
I know.
So I just grabbed one out of my folder. Are you gonna get, you can get one for me?
But now you're gonna, what, honey?
You can grab me one? You can bring one my way.
I'll bring you one later. Oh, she has.
You have one?
Yeah, this is the best book, and it's great for new agents, it's also great, you have one.
I do, I think,
Uh,
yeah, I'll go home and
oh.
make sure, but
I'll
I'm
make sure, I just have to be in my car, I'll bring more, I have a box on my
You know, I
office.
feel like I'm gonna see you on a weekly basis, so.
You are gonna see again, yeah. I don't know.
So this has, what's great, hi, hey, were you just on the, that was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know, but he was up on the thing, what's great is, remember those terms that that you use, like, what's that mean? You give this to the buyer, they've got the home buyer's glossary, the loan process. You're not a lender, it's not your job to know it.
Yeah, they just familiarize
Right,
yourself.
it's just, I'm not saying, this gives
Yeah.
them the opportunity to ask questions about it. I always just send them to Chris or somebody in the
Oh, I was
office.
gonna say, it says it's a guide to title and escrow, but there's loan information, there's tax information.
Yeah,
It's
see
just-
mortgage checklist, sorry.
No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm teaching them.
Oh, you're teaching,
I'm
oh, you're
teaching.
teaching.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just, my feet were killing me, so I said,
No, I know you're teaching it, I'm just being funny, like, oh, you're teaching, I was like, yeah.
I know for 10 years. I go way back.
Way back,
Joanne, is she here yet?
almost there,
Oh.
every red. Okay.
Whatever, just come get her. Okay, so the loan process, it talks about things like that. Let your home give a smile to buyers. So this is sellers. So what I don't like is mixing them.
Yeah.
I think having separate ones, so I'm gonna work on getting escrows, Keller Williams to do the one that I told you about where when I was at Douglas Elliman, they took all of the top agents' buyer and seller presentations and they made them into one presentation. So on the front, it had a picture, it said Douglas Elliman, and then it had elements of each thing, just a little paragraph of each.
Yeah.
This would overwhelm me, sure. I'm not that kind of engineer, would love it, depending on who your buyer is. This would make me, oh God, am I gonna buy?
Yeah.
Do I wanna do, no, you have to know your client. If you have an engineer, you're gonna love this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but you better know it too, because you'd be like, oh, what's this mean? Or why did, you know, there's a typo.
Yeah. He was, the questions in the buyer consultation, I was like so grateful Simon was there with me. Because there were just certain pointed questions that I don't have the experience to have that answer yet, but Simon made it be like, oh, are you okay if I chime in on this one? You know, it was
That's what I was
so
gonna tell you, if
good.
you guys ever want me or Simon, or Simon can't do it, I'll always, if I'm available, I'll come sit during your listing presentation, whatever. Okay, I do it all the time. Or if I go on a listing presentation, I'll probably get all your numbers and do like a group text, hey, who wants to come? I'm having an appointment at 10 a.m. on this date. First, no, I wouldn't do the whole crew, I'd say the first two that respond.
Sure.
You know, because, and then what I, yes, then what I do is I tell the seller, I go, look, I have a team of agents that I work with and they wanted to come in with me so they can get a head start on promoting your home. That's how you do it. So it's not like I'm training you.
Yeah.
I always just say, you know what, there's a couple that are really hungry in our office and I always told them that they can come and sit through it and get all the information so that they can help promote your home.
Brilliant.
Okay, so, next. Go. Okay, so basically what they want me to talk about in that is there's a buyer broker agreement on the CAR form. So there's a BRNN, which is a buyer representation, exclusive, not BRNE, BRE, and then BR something. The exclusive is the one you want. There's a spot in there to put so basically what happens, a lot of agents, like I have a listing right now, it's 5%. I'm taking 3% on the seller side, 2% on the buyer side, because 90% of them don't do the work, right? And it's costing me money to list it. You know, I had to be it because it was a tenant. I had to go every weekend. Like I had to go down Saturday to go. It's not, listings aren't always easy, especially when you have tenants.
Yeah.
So on the BRE, and we can go through it, I don't use the form because if they're not committed to me, I'm not going to commit to them. So there's a form you could do at one page within your contract that says, I promise to do blah, 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 blah. And if I do these things, are you exclusive to me? That's how I would do it. Not commit to them to pay the difference in the commission. But that's what the BR, thank you, the buyer's representation does. It takes the difference. Let's say that you find a house off market. We find a house off market and they aren't willing to pay. Then you ask your buyer to pay that 3% or that 2.5%. You could put that in that one page. You know, sometimes we find things off market and maybe we should work on one that we can all design and use. And that way it's on one page in your buyer presentation. Instead of that, another 12-page contract that you're having them do it. I'm being recorded, huh? I just don't know if Keller Williams requires it. Have they said anything about it using the buyer agreement?
I have not heard that they require it. Everyone that's been teaching that I've talked with, it's a personal preference. I think they push it. They would like you to do it.
Of course, because it locks the buyer in. But why would you lock a buyer in? Because it goes both ways. Yeah, okay. It goes both ways. If you're a buyer, if you don't like a buyer, now you can't get it. So you gotta think about that too. One reason why it would have been good was that one of the guys I was training, Charles, sent his buyer to an open house. He did not go with, and he didn't register them. Like I always call and say, hey, I have a client coming, can I register them? I can't make it today. And then you registered, I email him with the person's name. It kind of locks it in that way, that's it. But he just sent them, that agent said to them, you work with me, you'll save this amount of money. Well, what ended up happening was it went over asking anyway, and they didn't save a penny.
Yeah.
And then to me, when you represent both sides, it's a conflict of interest for two reasons. When I represent a buyer, I ask for as long as time as I can for contingencies, right? If I'm representing a seller, I'm gonna go to you and say, I want 10 days for your appraisal and inspection, and I want you to remove the appraisal in 17 instead of 21. And by the way, no, you're paying this, and this. Right there, you're in a conflict, because as a buyer, you want to represent your buyer and ask them. So the right thing to do, in my opinion, is go to one of your colleagues and say, I've got this listing. Can I take a referral fee, but you represent the buyer? That's how you do it.
I agree.
And then you could sleep at night.
Yep.
I mean, I've done things off market where I'm doing it on both sides anyway, because the seller wasn't going to pay more than 3%. But we sat down, we had them both sit down at the table, right? Where both sides sat down and said, okay, everything's on the table. I'm just going to do your paperwork and make sure that you guys say everything that you're committing to. That's one thing. But you'll be a seller that says, I don't want him to know I'm going into foreclosure, or I don't want him to know the bottom line number that I'll take. And so now you're representing the seller. Well, what's the bottom line? Oh, I know it's worth $650. Guess what? What if they were going to come in at $675? Does that make sense? So it's really tough unless it's an off market, but then you need to make sure you're full transparency. Say, I have to tell them everything, or we're going to list it at 5%. 6%, whatever, okay?
Mine?
Uh-huh.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to go back to the buyer representation form.
Okay,
What do you personally do in terms of
that form,
signing?
I don't. It's a personal thing, I've never had anybody sign it. If they don't wanna work with me, they don't wanna work with me. But I secure my part of it by registering them at an open house. Sometimes they go into one you didn't see, you know, and so you have that conversation up front, go, look, the reason why I want you to sign this form is it secures you as my buyer's agent. They'll ask you when you go in, did you sign anything with them? That's what you should say when you're at an open house. Oh, yes, I have another, oh, did you sign something with them? If they say no, technically, you take, go, but you've been working with them for a while, right? To me, that's an ethical thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's ethics about saying, you know, Levi here comes into my open house and he's been working with you for 6 months, but he found a house on his own, so now he thinks he can just have me represent him, he thinks he's gonna be better off. I'm representing the seller, that's my priority. So you have to educate your buyer, that your buyer needs you to fight like hell for them. And you say, look, being at Keller Williams, this is a really good thing, being at Keller Williams, we have agents, you know, so many agents throughout the South Bay, we've got 5 offices, we know most of the agents out there. We can negotiate, just because of who we are, they're gonna look at our offers seriously. You can't say first, because it's by order, right, that they come in. So that's kind of what I would do, you know, I think if we make a one sheet, that's not, it's like an agreement, you know, a handshake agreement that we all agree to. Like I even put in there in contracts, because they never met me, that referral that when I told you there are 5 listings from one family. I had to put in there if the seller has right to cancel a listing, and I had to make it work. But if, you know, for any unethical or, there was something else that we put, but putting that in your agreement is really valuable too, because they're like, oh, I can get out of it with that, right? And you're not gonna do anything unethical or harmful to that client, so I can't remember the verbiage, but it's something I should go pull and we can use it on a regular basis. Yes?
Just to dive deeper into that a little bit.
Uh-huh. I guess there's an app, hold on, let's go through this. There's an app, and then they can save the listings. And then the command, you can customize your guide and, okay, sorry, you guys, you missed it. I gave them the best nugget yet.
I think you gave everyone their own individual buyer, is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I did, and yeah, you don't have it now.
Tough luck.
Guess I'll have to work even harder. I know.
Okay, what were you gonna ask, Richard?
Oh, yeah, so you did dive deeper on what you said in terms of like us creating a sheet. Is innovation kind of like wanted in terms of like agreement forms and stuff like that?
I don't understand what you're asking me. Innovation wanted, we always want to innovate, but anything you do like that has to be approved by sign. So that's why I said, if I make one, we should all use it. You know, like I'll go to the BRE, that form, figure it out. And I think, you know, I can do it next week. This week's kind of slammed already, but if I spend the time and really, you know, you agree to blah, blah, blah. And I've got samples from other agents that did it in other companies because they weren't comfortable with another 12-page contract.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your RPA, that's now 20 pages, right? And then you give them that to sign. Because that's what a lot of agents will do. So they'll write their first offer. So this is what I've seen happen. They'll write their first offer. They'll include the buyer's representation agreement. With that, they have everything signed. Don't tell them that it goes past that offer. And then there's been where agents call up the listing, you know, the person that represents them, how'd you get that client? I represent them. Well, they said they didn't sign anything, but they'd only signed an offer. Well, I put it in with the offer. it's a rather neat, but I always ask them, can I see the contract you signed? Cause you know, 20, it used to be 11 pages, the contract, now it's like 20. When I started, it was 4 in carbon paper. Like an NCR paper. No room for mistakes. I had more crossing out, okay, now you're not, you know, especially the first one, it's pretty scary when you're trying to do the math and you're nervous and they're sitting right there and.
So we're kind of lucky because it does auto.
Yeah, it does
certain
do it
things,
auto
certain
populate.
things, yeah. You need to be
People
careful.
still put it in the wrong place, they'll put it in the increased deposit instead of the loan amount. And so it's, you need to bring it, I'm like, that's not the right place, you gotta go back, well, or I could leave it and say you have to bring me $600,000 and,
Yeah, as a deposit.
Right.
Yeah.
and they'll be like, right. Yeah, that's when I know that they haven't been trained, they're in a small brokerage and they're just out there to make a buck.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's what I see. So you guys are in a great place here, Keller Williams has so much training that my head spins, but the best thing I can say is being in the field is the best. So you're working with somebody now?
Well,
I want each of you tell me.
yeah, so I had a consultation with them in November, long story short, I got a call from him this week and they're gonna sign another lease for a year instead of choosing to buy because they wanna go back to Houston, they don't wanna be here. That's the truth of the matter,
Right.
so that one just sort of fell off, I'll stay in contact with them,
Right.
but.
And did you, you know, in a year, you can build a relationship with a Houston agent.
Exactly, and I did, and so I started with him, I got
See what
him,
I mean?
Yeah.
I'm losing it totally.
and I did, at the tail end of that phone call, I said, well, do you mind if I grab you and your wife's email address, because I have this thing called the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, and I can do it both for the area you're looking for here, as well as Houston, and then you guys can kind of look and over the next year and get an idea, and he was all about it, so that will keep me in touch.
So what is that neighborhood nurture? Is that on our command?
Yeah, it is. So it's a smart plan and you can put in whatever neighborhoods you want. So you have I have their address or knowing what neighborhoods they're looking at. So I go in, put all that in, then I start them on the smart plan. So every 2 weeks.
You have to show me.
Yeah.
You guys are younger and get that stuff, I just go, okay, just make it work. Like I had all my contacts, I just emailed Scott and said, I can't do it. I've tried, my head's like, it's not loading right. He's like, send me your list. Because what was great, I guess, command will get rid of duplicates.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it will. And because it won't let you put the same email in 2 contacts either.
Which is great because I had 5 different lists for different things, but they may have been
Sure.
on that one. So he says, don't worry about duplicates, it takes care of them.
Yeah. And that's huge because if you put your phone in there and then later decide to do your Facebook contacts, there's bound to be a million duplicates in there, you know.
Yeah, but so that's the same thing,
Yeah.
download your contacts. The other thing is, I think Facebook is gonna crash soon, I gotta. It's always gonna be there, but it's not gonna be the primary place where we advertise and stuff, so I think getting down to the nitty gritty and downloading those and being more personal where it's emails. It feels more personal instead of just these ads that pop up all the time, and it'll save you money too, because you're emailing instead of. So do you have any other buyers in the works?
Like I can't talk about it yet, but
Okay,
soon, hopefully next week.
okay,
It's a big deal, so I just can't.
no, it's okay,
There's information I can't leak.
no, it's okay, all right, so you've got
Yes.
somebody, okay, so you're okay, okay, and you?
What's her name?
Well, I just finished showing 3 condos this morning.
Where were they?
It was a client of mine for looking for a $300,000 to $500,000 around that range in terms of budget, nearby UCI student.
Oh, you see your money, okay, so you drove all the way down there?
Yeah, we went there like twice already. So
Okay, do they know the area?
now they are like me going there and
Right.
showing around. Yeah, and yeah, it's going great. I'm gonna get into Fernando's office next week.
Fernando the lender?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm still getting, because I think of Chris, because he's here all the time.
Yeah.
So Fernando, so part of the thing I went through with them today was, do you know anything about them? Why are they looking there? Is it close to their work? Is it close to family? There's a lot of things as you dialogue with people, subliminal things they'll say, like you may say, oh, we eventually want my mother-in-law to move in. the wife looks at him and says, freaking wife, but you know, but there's that lower bedroom in your mind.
Yeah.
A house with a bedroom on the main level. And when you're showing it at the back beginning, oh, great, a den downstairs, it has a closet, it could become that bedroom for a teenager or a mother-in-law, because I heard your husband say he wants to, and she'll be like, hell no, but you're leading it into another thing too, oh, it's a den or a playroom or whatever. So, okay, so you got some business, you,
Actually, 2 potential buyers,
okay?
so I'm
How did they become potential buyers? Is it from your sphere?
yeah, from my spirit,
Okay,
and one I know has been looking since last year.
and have they had another agent they were working with, or they just let you know?
I think they were, but I asked them if they signed anything, they said no.
Okay,
Oh.
okay, they said no,
Yeah,
but have they written any offers with that agent?
no, I haven't.
Okay, so that's another thing I want you guys to think about, if they wrote some offers with that agent, there's a borderline assumed business.
An implied.
Yeah, an implied,
Right?
yeah, that they're their agent, so you're gonna have to tell them. I'd love to work with you and I will work really hard for you and we'll work on that form, I'm gonna tell you, but I need you to let them know that you're working with somebody else. They have to technically fire them.
Okay.
And it's only because you would want to know, right? So I always do the golden rule thing. How would I want to be treated in this? So I do that with everything, golden rule. Yeah, that's not a good way to do it. So if you just keep that, and Mia, are you working with anybody?
I have a couple of clients, it's been a while, like one budget $650, she's allergic to everything.
What's
Like
that?
pets, and she's like kind of scared of cancer, so anything that seems cancerous. Like South Bay she'll stay away from, it's fireproof winery, like, interesting. I know, so it's been tough.
Wow, so this is a great lesson for them.
Yeah, I know, but it's been like 6 months in and she's kind of getting to that desperate point.
Where she work?
She works from home, but the husband lives in, or works in Century City.
So it could be anywhere between here and there.
Now she's expanding the radius and like letting some of those, whatever, guards down, I don't know.
You know what you
barriers
could
down.
give her for a home closing gift? One of those air filters.
But yeah, I know, but she's like highly allergic to pets, so that's eliminated like so many things for us.
But it doesn't, but listen, what you can say is, yes, I understand you're allergic to them, but there's a process that will eliminate all the pet dander.
Yeah, so there's that, but with $650, right? What
Um,
single family home can you buy without?
In Gardena, there's a lot.
It's in the 800, like 780s now.
Yeah,
Hawthorne too?
I have to
Oh,
look into it.
yeah.
I actually have a client, another
Or
client.
Inglewood because it's.
Yeah, they're looking
You can tell I'm a scholar.
It's so hard though, it's driving the rates up.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to gentrify.
Oh, the
area.
SoFi,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
and they're putting the ADUs so they can rent out.
Yes.
Oh,
And the
yes.
Olympics are coming to that area in 2028, and so a lot of the homeowners there are doing ADUs and stuff to rent it out for that.
I thought it was 2024 they were coming.
It got postponed to 2028.
Why?
I don't have that.
They can't change the Olympics, it's been that way for years.
They did, I think there is a 2024, I think the LA one got changed too. Like, we're not
2024
hosting until 2028 now.
What was 24?
I'm not watching this year.
Yeah, I don't know, but it got changed. Just when we're hosting it, the Olympics will still happen in 2024.
Oh, it's just somewhere else.
Yes,
Yeah.
How do you change that when they already, okay,
it
whatever.
was years ago.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, because I shot an event for it like 3 years ago, and it was supposed to be in 2024.
Because I have the 1984 Olympics, when it was here.
Yeah.
And you Roth made our airport better, right? You guys weren't even born yet, probably. But they had these, the posts, the white posts had these huge, like, flags with different graphics on them, and I have the movie Star in Motion one. My brother was struck, and we were going through, we ran into rain, and climbed up the pole, cut it down, and I still have it. So, it would cover technically that whole wall if I laid it sideways, that's how big they are. Yeah.
The things you do when you're drunk.
They know these are blurred. And I'm so glad they didn't have cell phones then.
Oh, my husband.
I could not be running for city, I could not be running for city council.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yep.
They'd be like, or I'd have to just burn it all out.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, so you're good, you've got a couple people, so I would just, is it family?
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll work with you. So basically, you just say, look, I just met with my mentor and she reminded me, I understand you didn't sign anything, but had you written any offers with them? I mean, is there an implied agreement? An implied understanding that they're working with you, are they sending you stuff? And if he says, yeah, I'd probably say, you know what, if you don't mind, send them an email and tell them, look, I've decided I'm gonna go in another direction. I've got an agent that I'm working with, they're gonna try and talk them out of it, just so as long as he put that in writing to them, you're good. An email's fine. There's no actual contract to cancel. It's like firing somebody. And Mia, how are you doing?
Yeah, so just the whole time, and then, gosh, I've been working with some buyers for a very long time.
So what's the whole up, do you think?
You know, you take them on that roller coaster, right? They find a house they love, offer gets rejected, and then it's just like emotionally, sometimes they can't handle.
Are you working with somebody, a coach or something?
Well, now I'm with Derek Urano, so, yeah, yeah, I'm working with him now, so.
Because a lot of it, before, I used to be able to, like, I would take a buyer into a house and they would talk about their favorite part of the house and I'd videotape it. And so when we submitted our offer, we would say, Mr. and Mrs., Cheyenne, Wyoming from Detroit. Cheyenne would do a message, the buyer would do a message that says, hey, Mr. and Mrs., because we know who the owner is and the listing agent's name. And Mia, we just want to let you know that, I love what the seller did in this kitchen and the wife's like, look at this. And there's a video of that. Because that's their favorite part of the house, right? Typically it's the kitchen or the garage and the dude's in there, look at this. It used to make an emotional attachment to it, but now they're saying we can't do that because they think it's race related.
What is it? I do.
A video or pictures. So
What's the name? Sorry to interrupt. What is the name of that? I can't remember. Because they
They
called
called
it
it
something. I know.
I eye roll again, but basically,
It's something letter. I
So
think,
sometimes
but-
with your offers, people submit love letters or like pictures or like videos, and now they're.
well, they do it. So basically in a listing agreement now, there's a thing in the listing agreement, I don't know if you guys know that, it says, will you allow love letters? And the seller's like, I go, when they say they love a house. So they have to authorize it and that they will be discriminatory, non-discriminative, whatever the word is, that they'll be open-minded to whatever comes in. The problem is that when I got a listing that let's say somebody's mom died and they're selling a family home and they really don't want to sell a family home, there has to be a tug for you to get that house.
Yeah.
If they think somebody's coming in to tear it down and remodel it and flip it, they won't sell it to them.
Yeah,
So this law is not completely correct. It's what they should be doing is educating agents on how to present it properly, not banning us from it. So I always tell the seller, I would recommend this because if it's important to you who buys your house, this is what does it. Because a lot of them may say, this is a totally Filipino neighborhood. If it's not Filipino, they're not going to feel comfortable. That's them saying it.
Right.
It's not that it's racist or anything. They're just trying to get the right buyers in there. But we can't do that anymore. Like I can't say my listing and promotion features all stairs. I'm like, man, this has to be somebody young or fit or something. I can't say that.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
But I did say 41 stairs to the unit. Right?
Yeah.
Or you can't even say walking distance to the beach. Because the people roll it and
Really? Is that bad?
yeah, because if somebody's in a wheelchair, they'll sue you.
Oh.
But you couldn't come in the unit anyway because it's upstairs and there's a building. So I struggle with it a lot. I now say shops nearby are 0.5 miles or 2 blocks away.
You say beach accessible?
Right, but it's not just beach accessible, it's literally 20 steps.
Right.
So accessible means you can get to it eventually.
Yeah, I know.
You guys understand my frustration.
Oh. more than
So I
I
always
can
just-
talk about you.
I've gotten more and more creative, like, I had one listing that, I had, we landed on Christmas Eve and I went, surprise, Santa brought that house to you, and I make it more about a story when I'm doing it. Or it's price of money, like the last one was 88888. Do you know that they said, I had more hits on that listing than I've had on any listing, and
Cause it was eye catching, you think?
yeah, they said, you made us stop and say, why they price it that way? Oh, you guys get creative.
Yeah.
And you, Levi, are you working with any buyers or sellers right now?
I usually got my license like a couple days ago, so.
Oh, well, congratulations.
So, all this is new to me, so, but I've been coming to this class, lately, so.
So the best thing I can tell you is your phone is your database right now. And just like you said to me, hey guys, I just want to let you know, I joined Keller Williams, I just got my license and I joined Keller Williams and I'm on a great team. I'm very capable of helping you. Even though I'm brand new, don't let that scare you.
However, I have like at least, not less than 5 potential buyers.
Okay, so what makes them potential and what makes them why they're not your buyers yet? Let's do.
Oh,
I'm just,
potentially in the sense that, I can tell them that I'm about to get my license, right? Okay,
no, like, great, let me know when.
yes, let me know when, and we're gonna start making deals, or well, not making deals, but, buy a house.
Are they buying houses or are they buying investment properties?
Yeah, that's the thing, because that's the reason why I got into this, investments.
Okay, so let me, can I break down what happens with investment buyers?
We'll go for it.
Okay, so investment buyers to me, in some cases, are the most unethical people out there.
Hey,
I'm just gonna tell you my
Shoot,
opinion, because they'll go after the vulnerable, people losing their homes. And like, I'll be transparent. I know if you guys have to go, it's okay, I'm just sharing that. So I lost my house in 2008 in the crash. I lost the condo I had on the beach. And I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of postcards in this. Nobody did anything compelling to make me list with them or save myself. I hid in a hole and didn't tell anybody and was ashamed and everything. So you have to remember that. If somebody had come with a cash offer, right then I probably would have taken it and they would have been able to sell it for $200,000 more in 6 months. That's why I think it's unethical, because what they're doing is buying and flipping. If they're buying to keep them as investments, yeah, you want to get the best deal because of the rent, rents and the rent moratorium is going to stay here forever, I think. So right now, your investors probably, it's a crazy market. It's up right now. As I was telling them before you got here, Orange County, a guy just did a video, which I recommend you guys all getting the stats. That says in 2013 to 2019, this time of year, at those times, there was 4,500 listings in Orange County. 2020, there was 27. Or last, 20 and 2021 was 2,700 approximately. You know what there is this time right now? There are 1,000.
Wow.
So that's driving our prices up. The multiples, and it also gets the buyers to back out because the buyers are like, I'm going to wait till it crashes, then I'm going to get a deal. So what you want to do is, if you do talk to somebody that's thinking about selling, go look. There's 2 options here. So you're not unethical is what I'm getting at for investment properties. Or so you can sleep at night with me. I will say, you know what, there's an option. We can sell it at this price right now. In between here and here, I always do a window. I never give them an exact number, like 600 to 650, and bring you a cash offer, and you can be done with it, and I'll let you stay for 6 months. Because the market's gonna change and they know that, or they'll let you stay for 2 months, or they'll pay for your move, or something like that, right? They'll give you cash, you can stay for 30 days so you can get packed up and move, and then they move. The other option is you get everything out, you pay and upgrade it, and do all this, and then move. Well, they don't have the money to pay for it, so they'll take it, but at least you've given them the options. A lot of times, there's a way to get. So if you're Market, you're Compton, where's your farm area? Did you pick one? North Torrance.
Torrance.
Torrance is big. You should
I
pick it
know.
area.
Okay, South Torrance.
500 homes, and you know how many people?
500 homes?
Yeah, I would say, so, and I'm just, I'm gonna be your, I'm gonna be your devil's advocate here. I am marketing South Orange, there's about 15 agents that are top agents up there. So you wanna pick a window within that, maybe
I
Walteria,
think I mentioned Marble Estates.
that's not South Orange, so that is
So,
South Orange.
yeah,
It's
South Orange,
southeast.
yeah, it's south, but
So
that would be
pick
like
up
it,
that,
yeah.
you go and pick blocks,
Mhm.
right, so say, you know,
Yeah, I have
Kershaw.
1,000 homes in that area.
You do,
Yeah.
okay, so cut it in half. The reason why I'm saying 500, when you're new to send postcards on a regular basis, to door knock on a regular basis, 500 is manageable. But you also wanna do, and I'll give you the paperwork if you guys want it, it's called SAM, Small Area Market Analysis. You guys open that, it's dying, I'm sorry, I'm like, I know she's supposed to, probably somebody complained really loud or something.
No, I don't think so, they had Cecily going in to meet with Sonia, so I think they were trying to not be invasive to us.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but she got.
Yeah. Oh, they go with her, okay. So, what was it? Oh, small area market rate. I got this from this guy, it's great. So you go through and you say, how many homes in the area? 500, or you say 1,000, right? And then you say, you go through the MLS in the last 3 years, how many have sold? Closed, not expired in this. And then you say, so you got that. Then you say, let's say it's 6, and that's not very many, right? But then in the city, right on the other side of Crenshaw, there was 20 that sold. Well, that's a better market, right? And the other thing you've got to figure out is who's likely to move? Who just graduated? Who's an empty nester? Who can't afford to live here anymore? So your title reps have a thing called Rebo Gateway. It's very expensive. Don't pay for it yourself. They can do it. Like I asked Ben, and he gets me like empty nesters for those 500 homes. You always give them the boundaries, okay? So this street or this, Marble Estates is big, so they don't know what that means. Just give them the street.
Yeah.
You know, and then they download everything, and I did one called affidavits for the last 5 years, because maybe a spouse died. And then the woman's living in there, and now it's like, she's realized she's in this, like Steve Gottlieb's wife died, and he's selling this 3,000 square foot house, and he's like, I'm not, it's very lonely. Eventually people will move, and the taxes are getting unbearable, and they're coming after the elderly really hard. They're trying to get them all to come, they're trying to remove Prop 13, which will destroy our senior citizens. So it's our job to keep them protected. Another thing you can do is have title run a property profile. Everybody that has a homeowner's exemption on their home, and who doesn't. And if they don't, you can call them and say, hey, I market your area and I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know, you don't have a homeowner's exemption on your home. Is there a reason why? And here's the benefits. And then I'll talk to you guys about what the benefits are. But it's a way of being of service, getting your name out there without asking for business. Because when they sell it, let's say that they pass away, your mom passes away and you're 55 or older, you're allowed to inherit that home and take the property taxes with you. So if they're only paying $2,000 a year and the house is worth 1.2, it would have gone up to $12,000, and most people couldn't have paid that a year. So that homeowner's exemption has to be in place in order for that to happen. Because if it's not, those props don't work without it, and a lot of people don't know that. I think what I might do is get, I'm gonna do a buyers and a seller seminar, and I'll let you guys come and see how we run one. Now that we have this, it's great, I could do one in here. But I did a town hall for sellers, and we did a thing where Ben came out and talked about title fraud, and he talked about, and I did a CMA for each person, because I had all of their addresses, and I did a CMA and showed them what their house was worth. We had a lawyer there that talked about how to hold it, put it in trust to protect it from being this. We had a LifeLock person there. What is that like? The other thing you guys can do is, I've got 1,000 ideas. I just have nobody to do them for me because Pilar's out for 15 days. Her son got COVID. So they've all had it, and he avoided it, and now he's got it. So I said, oh good, now there won't be any more excuses. So next very, I missed them all, so I know, I had Delta.
You did?
Yeah, I was in the hospital 5 days.
Well, how bad was that?
I thought it was okay, but I was doing a daily thing on Facebook, because I live alone, and people were like, my oxygen level got down to 85, not good. Because I slept wrong, they tell you to stay home and sleep, and problem was, is I was sleeping up on my Chase lounge, when you're supposed to sit prone on your stomach or on your side, because it helps you loosen up the lungs. I didn't do that, I didn't know. So I tell everybody now, sleep prone.
You're a rebel.
Huh?
You're just a rebel.
No,
Like, I'm
but I
sleeping
was-
on my back.
No, I didn't know.
Confusing.
I had no, if I'd known, I would have gone in the other room, had the TV on and, whatever. So there's a lot of things you guys can do as agents that will also teach you why they're beneficial. I would go to the county assessors page, LA County Assessors page, and look up SB 19. SB 19 is the one for 55 and older. You've got to know the demographics of your neighborhood. SB, Senate Bill, I think it's 19. It used to be Prop 60 and 90, became SB 19, I think. I don't know, but SB 19 is Prop 60 and 90, but it's all the same. So what it was before, Prop 60 was LA County. And if you were 55 or older, you could take one time your property tax and transfer it to equal or lesser value. That was the old way. Now, I could sell it, take my property tax, let's say I sell it for $1 million, but I buy $1.3 million, right? Because I wanted a bigger house so the family can all move in. So now I take that property tax that's worth $1 million, what my household for, and the $300,000 is all I have to pay the taxes on, the difference. So it goes, let's say it's 2,000, and now I have to pay 300, so an extra 3,000 instead of it being 13,000. It keeps it affordable. And you can do it 3 times. And the reason why that's valuable is somebody going through a divorce, the husband always ended up taking it on a couple of clients. They couldn't sell because they would just been annihilated with taxes. There's a lot of things that I'll talk to Simon that maybe as I get more information, I can have a class on this, and this is how you present it. And then a class on, so we're educating the consumers, because that's why we gotta make the big bucks, you guys. In order to fight for our commissions, we better know more than that.
In layman's terms, can you quickly do a cliff notes of the 1031 exchange for me?
I'm not great at it,
Okay.
but a 1031 basically in layman's terms is like for like property. So if somebody's got an apartment building, they have to buy another apartment building within so many days. I think they have to identify them in 180 days and then close, they have 180 days. In 45 days, they have to identify 3.
Okay.
And then they have to close.
Okay.
I will.
For the purpose of continuing what the tax assessment was?
Well, it's everything. So a 1031, yeah. So it's also capital gains. They don't pay a lot of capital gains, because a lot of people, when they sell, like my mother-in-law owns 38 doors. She has 3 buildings in San Pedro and 1 in Torrance. That's the one I live in. So if she sold that and didn't want to pay a bunch of capital gains and crazy taxes, then she would buy another building. Like she sold the one she had in Century City and bought the 8-unit in San Pedro. The problem was that didn't have rent control, and she's had people in there forever, and they destroyed the building. So you have to know when you're doing, like if they're selling a business, I recommend you take that to a commercial, and get a referral, because it's a totally different animal and it's less emotional and it's just all business and all numbers, and I'm like, I like the emotional part of it. So, Michelle Brown, all those guys over there, they could walk you through it too, but 1031 exchange, the board has, South Bay Board often has a speaker out there. I would sign up for that class and go listen to it, because it'll give you a lot of information. But people think if they sell their house, they can buy another one and take their, no.
It is deferred tax, right, nothing else.
Right, it
If we
defers
just
it,
postpone
right,
tax.
it's gonna happen eventually.
You will pay no matter what, but not at this.
Right, what happens typically is that the people inherit the property, then they have to do, so it's always gonna be something, but no, when they do finally sell it, you take off the depreciation, take all the expenses off, all of that stuff is part of it. I'm not a tax person, so I'm not the person to talk to you about that, and that's what I tell a client. You know what, every person's different. You talk to your tax guy and see what you should do, because some people say, should I sell? No. Talk to your accountant or your real estate attorney, because each person has different reasons to sell. Like Sally, a woman sold, and the problem was she had cancer and she was getting City of Hope because everything was in Kim's name. So Kim, her daughter, when she sold, then they were gonna put it in the bank account with her mom's name. I said, you can't, because she's got cancer and City of Hope will just come back, Medicaid will come back and take it all. So you have to know their circumstances. Why are they selling? Why are they buying? Why are they doing this? Does it make sense? Have you talked to your accountant? You don't have an accountant, great. I'll give you a few names. Okay, there's a lot of things that we don't get told everything. We think they told us everything. 90% of the stuff we don't know from them. You think they're, I can buy my score's 811, and then they come back with 640. You're like, freaking liar, but it's what happens, oh yeah, I forgot I co-signed on my son's car, it was repo. That affects you, don't you have credit karma? So.
For real. Who doesn't?
So what are your biggest fears? I think a lot of it when you're new is fears. I just got in, I told you the first day I had my license, somebody walked in, I'm like, oh my God, I have to write an offer. And what I did was, there was 2 ladies that sold Mission Beach. I can picture their faces, the big bouffant hair and everything, but I can't remember the names. They had 2 listings. Back in 91 when I got my license, 98, my God, I remember. 98, they were condominiumizing a lot of buildings. They were making like a duplex into 2 separate units. And that was just what they did at the beach areas, because then they could sell them off. So I sold, it used to be a duplex. He bought that for lower and they were like 150. You know how much they're worth now? $1.1 million minimum, because they're right there across from Mission Bay. So, and I looked, so I always look at the old sales in San Diego, and probably 80% of them still own their homes, and they bought more when I moved. So yeah, so I think another really big thing to do is handwritten notes. I've even done it to agents when they had to go out of their way to show a property. I'm like, I know that was a hassle for you. I wanted to let you know that I really appreciate it.
It's the little tiny things that really don't take a whole lot of effort that make someone's day. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, birthday cards anymore. I get so excited when I get birthday cards. Yeah. Because I don't get them anymore. My mom.
Tangible.
It's like letters, right? Like writing letters.
Yeah.
Back in my days, well, not too old, but back in my days, writing letters to your
Yeah.
significant other, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just like text, okay, whatever, okay. It doesn't have any meaning.
Right. It's something tangible that you do. And now everything's so public and it's all on Facebook.
If it's not on social media, it's not,
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Yeah, so I think it's, and if they want to share it on, look, I got a card from so-and-so, guess what? Now that's presenting what you did for them too. Yeah. So, buyer presentations, I think I'm gonna write down to make a 1 sheet. Okay, make a 1 sheet, that's my homework. And then I'll present it to Simon, because he'll have some changes probably. But I think if we did that, it's a commitment that says, if for any reason I don't follow any of these things, you have the right to cancel this agreement. That's what you want to put. Like if I don't diligently show you properties, I don't diligently share it with you, we come up with what that looks like for you. And then if you don't do these things, you have a right to send me a cancellation and have the cancellation in that contract. That you both have to mutually agree. I think it's a brilliant way to do it.
It creates more
Trust
with the client, right?
Right, because they know that you're gonna work like a dog, and they need to understand. So part of one of the laws that's coming out, I'm not for it, but whatever, is that they're gonna have to start posting like on social media, like on Zillow and all that, or whatever it is, the internet, what the buyer's commission is. I don't know how they can do that when it's the seller that agrees to it, right? So the sellers agreed to 5%, right? And it'll say on the MLS, it shows you 2%. Why do they need now an agent? It's another reason to remove us. Because they can say, oh, it's 2%, I'll call my aunt and have her write it up.
Right. Yeah,
I want
that's
them,
interesting.
I can get money back from them, I can do that. So the powers to be are being hassled by a few activists that are that don't understand. Like they made it that if I said something that was derogatory, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but they basically put a target on our back. That if anybody hears you say something that offends them, you are removed from so I said, somebody that I piss off could call up and say, Maureen did this and this, without proof, they can remove you.
Oh, yeah,
That's not
we're
okay.
in a big culture of that right now.
Yeah,
Well, it's,
yeah, and a lot of these, you gotta remember, my era is different than your era. We used to, like I have many friends of many races and this and that, and none of it, we never realized that they were different than us.
Sure.
I grew up with him, Bruce Bailey, my black. He's black. What's the big deal? You know what I mean? But they're making it so polarized now that if you say, oh, that I don't want it, or that colored person, because that's how we were brought up. We call them colored.
Yeah, it changes and it's hard to.
Right, it's hard, and so if we call them colored, now they're offended, and what if they called and said, she called me colored, oh, we want to fire her. Totally.
Yeah.
They put it in the NAR that that's okay. It's not okay. Another thing I always talk to you guys about safety. Always know your surroundings. Always have something with you, a key, a knife, a pepper spray, something, okay, always. I'm a big believer, I've got the flashlight that's a taser, you're doing an open house, don't do it by yourself, tag team it. What I do is I have separate sign-in sheets. You have, or you can do one, and then it goes in order at the end. RC, Richard Cheyenne, whoever's doing it. And then you just take those and highlight them, and those are yours, and those are yours. Then, let's say 3 months down the line, or every week you check in, hey, did your buyer call you back? No, okay, I'll give you this one because I've got 3. I think if we work together, this office could really be the top office.
That might be a better way to do it anyway, because if you want to actually tour your potential buyers through the home, then you're leaving the main entrance, open for anything.
Right.
So I know a lot of people do it solo, but it is an interesting concept to me because then you're so stuck in the front door.
Well, not only that, or you're stuck in the kitchen or wherever it is.
Right.
Our job is to make sure that nothing's taken in that house.
Right.
The other thing is when you sit down with the listing, you always ask to make sure you remove jewelry and drugs, any drugs out of your medicine cabinet, take them in a Ziploc with you.
That was a really good note that you made.
Yeah,
That stuck with me.
yeah.
Yeah, it stuck with me.
I always tell them just take it in a Ziploc that day.
Yeah.
Anything that you think that, well, they're not opening drawers, or they might.
Sure.
Cabinets.
Yeah.
I can't be everywhere. And I'm telling you, in this kind of environment, when there's lots of action, you need to follow through with them. And that's why 2 or 3 agents sometimes. Or maybe if somebody has an adult child, they can stand there and hand the flyer at the door, and then you go to each agent. As my daughter got older, she was always I had her inside because she's this amazing, stunning girl, and I was always afraid somebody would kidnap her. So she was where I could see her, but she would do the flyers.
Yeah.
Say, and she can't talk price or anything. She would just hand the flyers, and then they would ask her a question. I go, she can't respond. I can, and I'll answer those. Yeah.
in that case, you cannot, the person who's helping you, who is not an agent, cannot give information about the house.
Right,
Make sure that that person cannot give any,
They can't
information.
negotiate a price for you. So basically, they can say, they can hand them a flyer. And they'll ask, what's the square footage? It's on the flyer. Right, and I know it sounds rude and stuff, but you could have a note that says, this is my daughter, she's unlicensed, she can't answer any questions if you have any, come see more or Cheyenne, whatever it is.
Is she allowed to say, You know, that's a great question. I'm unlicensed, but the flyer here says.
Probably, yeah, I mean, it's a very fine line.
Yeah.
It says actually in the law, they cannot negotiate price, it
Right.
doesn't say they can't say price, because it's everywhere.
Right.
It's everywhere. So when I'm doing an open house, I told you, I think I've done this, if I have, just tell me to shut up. Where they come in the door and I ask them, how did you hear about it? They say, welcome, make yourself at home. You know, make yourself at home.
Yeah.
And then I say, how did you hear about it? And they go, oh, my agent sent me from, the link, or I saw it online, or I was just driving by, saw the signs. So those are 3 different conversations that you're gonna have with them. If they drove by and saw the sign, go, oh, you don't know anything about it, let me get you the info. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, updated plumbing, pool in the back, we're asking $1 million. Okay, great. Well, because right then, if it's too much, you're gonna walk out. That's okay, you don't wanna buy it. But then you can say, hey, are you looking, or that's my next question with them. Are you on the market, or are you just looking in the neighborhood? And a lot of them will say, oh, I always like to see what's out there. Great. If you don't mind signing in, sellers ask me to let them know who's been in their home. You'll get Mickey Mouse at mickeymouse.com, whatever. So what I do is there's a new app that you can use on your iPad. It's called Open Home. And you can determine what's great is you go in, you take a picture of the house, it has the pictures pop up, they fill it out. Most of the time, for some reason, when they're online, you get real info. And we couldn't do it for a while because of COVID, you couldn't touch anything. So I had to go back to the paper. But I like that because it keeps it neat and organized, because all those papers, and all that, or damn it, I left my clipboard at home, so if you do that, you've got their info, and then it'll ask them, are you working with an agent? Yes. What's your agent's name? Mary Smith. No. How did you see it? Drove by. A lot of those questions, well, that then triggers this app to email them accordingly. So you then afterward at that night, if there was questions about it, like I always have a sheet that says Cheyenne asked, and I'll put copper plumbing. Because maybe you don't know, because you're just doing an open house for somebody else. Always disclose that. Say, I'm not the listing agent, I'm helping them host this to get as much exposure. She likes to get as much exposure to her properties as possible. That's how you do it. You don't make it like we're ditching it to you guys. We're just like, she likes to get as much exposure as possible, and we're happy to help, something like that. So I don't know that answer, but I can either text her. If she doesn't answer, I'll get back to you tonight. Don't make a promise that you can't do. Always make it a little longer and get it to them sooner. I'll get it back to you tomorrow or Sunday. Or you're on an open house Sunday. I'll get it back to you by Tuesday. Email them on Sunday night, because you now spoke to the agent. You've got all these questions. Is it this? Is it this? Is it,
And then they think, oh, how efficient is she?
Right.
She said Tuesday, but she did it 2 days earlier.
right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? I never under promise.
Over deliver.
Right. Yes, you always under promise and over deliver. And that's including time frames. And if you say you're gonna get back to them, you better damn well do it. If you don't do it, you're written off. They will remember that.
As you should be.
Right. But I'm telling you, a lot of people say it all the time.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then I've never heard a word. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I call them and go, didn't I ask you about the plumbing? And they go, I don't know, did you?
Well, that's not who you want then as your agent.
Right.
'Cause
Well, I was
there's
an
no
agent
efficient.
to an agent.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
so it's like, hello.
Yeah.
So, and then another thing is that the agent comes through with a client and you're a listing agent, right? And you're the listing, you're the buyer's agent and you're the buyer. Don't ever hand your card to the buyer. You hand it to the listing agent. You never do that when you're, ever, ever.
Conflict of interest.
Well, yeah, it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it is. And so it's happened to me a couple times where I walk up and I'm like, and I take them, and then that makes me look stupid, right? But you do it, you say, no, that comes to me, then I'll each name one, thank you. And then they look at you like, what did I do? Because they're not being taught that.
Right.
But it's really disrespectful.
Yeah.
What else is there? I don't know, there's gonna be, you guys are gonna be out there and not know, just go to your gut, what feels right.
Quick question on that open home thing. So you can basically sign people up on your tablet?
Yeah. It's an open home, download it on your, I wouldn't do it on your phone, because it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on your iPad or something like that, like I have an HP Spectre that the thing comes off, I could probably put it on that. So that means you're gonna need to know the Wi-Fi or have your phone there for hotspot, okay, so know that, you always have to make sure that works. And then, so you go in and it has a picture of the house on the front and the address and the price. And say, no, do you mind signing in, and have maybe each agent have one. So guess what, now you've got your clients and you've got yours, and
Yeah.
there's no.
I think, because that sounds awesome too. The thing I like about that is like it asks further questions.
Well, you
that
give
they-
them the questions to ask.
I love that.
You can brand it too.
Okay. Yeah, so you were saying that there is a way to create a landing page as well through your actual KW app, so that then anytime they're coming in to sign in and they fill out the information on the landing page, it's automating that contact into your command as well.
Yeah.
So then you don't have to put them in your database. They're
Well,
already
I don't
in your
know, does the
database.
KW command have an open home app, have a sign up sheet?
That's what I was wondering.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Data
How
and
does
just
it have to
transfer
be?
it.
Right.
Easy.
Because the landing page thing does, but I don't know.
I will
if you
call
can do
Scott.
additional-
I will email Scott about it, who's the marketing guy, and say, hey, we have this app, or do we have the same ability to do this? And then I'll come back and tell you the right way.
Sure.
But right now, I would do that, so I take way more time than you guys,
You use open house or open home?
open home.
Oh,
So where's those forms? Oh, did you leave that up
Oh,
there?
let's just
Yeah.
that right behind you, I think.
Yeah, so if you guys want these,
Yeah,
yeah.
always.
okay, and then,
I know that might be too much work.
home buyer resident interview process. It's there's just different books, and what I'll do is I'll give them in some kind of order in the next couple weeks and give you guys, like it talks about making the move, what to expect. People forget about that, and I would also have 3 or 4 movers that you know in your presentation. There's one blue chip moving, he's a local guy. Then call around and ask some of your movers, look, if I ever bring you a client, do you have a certificate I can put in my presentation? Hello, if you use Cheyenne for the sale, you'll get $50 off or $100 off your moving. You've got to use your vendors, your resources to work with you. Like whenever I close a listing, I'll go to this thing that's called Perfect Closing Gifts, I think, and I always take a picture of their house, you know, because you have to always have a picture anyway, and I put it on a glass cutting board, and thank you for your business with my name on it, and they go to their new home, they've always got it, because people always use cutting boards. It's just, or like, they do the, thank you. I couldn't think of the word, whoever said, you know, the things, she gave us pens too. She's got all the gadgets.
I got her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't believe I had somebody else's here, that's so funny. Oh, we did what you think.
I know,
I
so,
said it was funny, you got her.
I know. Can I ask you 2 very quick questions?
You guys can always ask me questions, my door's always open to.
An objection handler that I still am unclear on is a lot of sellers say, okay, great, so I make that much money for my house, which is great, but then I'm in the predicament of having to buy in this market as well if they're not moving out of state.
Okay, so that's right. So
Prices
do
are
you
high.
do you know how to do net seller's proceeds? Do you know what to ask them, like how much you owe on the house? Okay, $650, right? We're walking away with $1.2 million. Escrow, it's always about the list, the commission plus 2% is how I figure it out, so.
Joanne's app actually has an app
How's that?
that
Yeah.
estimation of the.
Yeah, that's only, but you have to know what escrow is and stuff, anyway, yeah, it does have some of it, but I just do, it's an average of 1.5% to 2%, so I just go higher, because I always get more, right? So